today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about
all successful organizations and marriages have a body of governance, a structure. What is the structure of your marriage? Functional partnerships are based on, I've got this covered, you've got that covered, and if this happens, this is what we're going to do next, and if we're not sure, this is what comes next. Are we running our family like a family, or are we running it like the government, or like our business if you have a business together? Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I am your host, Rich Heller, and today we are talking about why healthy partnerships of any kind need governance. And governance sounds like it's such a big term, but really it's what is the nature of the agreement of the partnership, right? Partnerships are not just based on, well, you're good at this and I'm good at that, so let's work together. Partnerships at home are not just based on we love each other and we'll figure it out, though some people do operate that way. Functional partnerships are based on I've got this covered, you've got that covered, and if this happens, this is what we're going to do next, and if we're not sure, this is what comes next about figuring out what's not sure. Functional partnerships have a vision, they have a plan for achieving that vision, and they have a plan for when their plan fails. And that's what we're talking about today on Rich in Relationship. We love each other, writes a listener. We're committed, but we keep having the same arguments about time, money, and priorities, even small decisions. It's like there's no clear way to decide things, and everything turns into a negotiation or a fight. Are we just incompatible, or are we missing something? And this is like when people come up against it in their partnership, even business partnerships. I'm not even talking about marriage right now. This is the question that people ask themselves, like, why did I go into a partnership with this guy or this gal? Why did I marry this guy, this gal? Why did I go into business with this guy, this gal? It just doesn't seem to be working. Obviously, there's something wrong with the partnership, but maybe it's not the partnership that's broken. Maybe there is a lack of governing structure, a lack of clear agreements, a lack of clear understanding of responsibility. Hate that word, right? Ooh, responsibility. Woo. The pain of these situations is that conflict, when we don't have that, is repetitive. And we start getting decision fatigue because we have to argue over every little thing. What should we have for dinner tonight? Chinese? No. Mexican? No. Well, what do you want? I don't know. Unclear expectations, emotional wear and tear. Did you empty the dishwasher? No, I didn't think I was supposed to. Did you empty the dishwasher? I thought that was your job. I did it last time. Why didn't you do it this time? Emotional wear and tear. And our hope when we met each other, when we went into business together, when we went into the business of family together, our hope is that we were going to have clarity, that we were going to reduce friction, that we were going to be more effective as a team, move further towards our individual goals and our shared goals. Our hope is that one day we will feel like that again. And this episode is about giving you a frame to start to create a set of governance. And we've helped a lot of couples with this. Couples who work separately, couples who work together, couples who didn't need to work. Yeah, there are such couples. There are couples who have enough money, they don't need to work. They still need a structure of governance. So you remember Brad and Gwen? Just a reminder, Brad and Gwen are not movie stars, though they might be someday. They are real. Well, maybe they're true, but they're not real. That's probably the best way to say it. They are a composite of the experiences I have had at Rich in Relationship working with clients. They're little bits and pieces of my clients in Brad and Gwen. Just a reminder, we protect our client confidentiality. We never share one client's story alone, maybe a little piece, a tidbit that they share with 5 other clients. Brad and Gwen, anyway, you may recall last episode, Brad had an affair, which is a killer for most relationships, but they work together and they live together, and so they couldn't afford for it to be a killer. Originally, they came in to figure out how do we just function together at work given the situation, but they came out of it with an understanding that some things had been missing in their relationship, and they wanted more understanding and more awareness. They had more structure around boundaries and needs, but they realized that something was still off. Small decisions were still turning into big conversations, and that is not unusual when there's been a major breach of trust. When there's been a major breach of trust, there's a tendency to renegotiate everything. Not just renegotiate, but make sure there aren't any loopholes. Conversations were sort of, how late should Brad work? Is Brad really working? How should they spend their weekends? They weren't completely comfortable with each other, but they had children who expected them to spend time with them. What is the priority? Making money? Or growing our family? Or how do we balance the two, given that we're not totally comfortable with each other? And they weren't having big fights. Nothing was really wrong, but it wasn't really defined either. They were like in this gray area, post-infidelity gray area. Every decision became a negotiation, a potential conflict, not a major conflict, but just like a negotiation is a form of conflict, by the way, right? A negotiation is, well, no, I don't want that. I want this. Well, I don't know if I want this. I want that. When that goes on and on and on, it drains the relationship. They were not yet in crisis, but they were not in flow, right? Do you guys know what I mean by flow? I'm not talking about the flow of our culture. Let's say you're out with another couple and your partner starts to say something and you're able to finish it and you both laugh about it. That's a state of flow. Flow is where you go to work and everything just seems to fall into place because trust is high, because safety is high, because you're confident in your next steps. They were not experiencing flow. They were experiencing start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. So we worked with them on governance. And governance is not Big Brother is watching you. It's not a rigid set of rules. It's a set of suggestions, guidelines, a system, if you will, that allows people to make decisions individually and together easily. It's a way to handle tension and to move forward without damaging the relationship. So let me be a little more explicit about that. One of the concerns was that Brad was going to allow himself to move away from the relationship and closer to someone else. With a body of governance, an understanding of what to do when his battery isn't charged, or what to do when his needs are not being met, or even when he's not sure what his needs are. When he has a handbook, that takes away a lot of the question marks, the unsureness. Think of governance, maybe a better way to put it is a marital procedure manual. Many of us make policy manuals for our marriage. The policy is that if you step out on the relationship, I will kill you, right? Something like that. The policy is if you spend money, a lot of money without talking to me, I'm going to take away your ability to access money. Often the policies are not spoken, by the way. Sometimes the policies are inherited. But do we have a procedures manual? A procedure manual tells you how to do things. A procedures manual tells you how to do things when there's no procedure. Really important. Helping Brad and Gwen to develop a relational procedure manual that doesn't sound very sexy, governance, a system for decision making, involved three things. Defining the individual domains, who's responsible for what. That's often based in what are you good at, by the way, or what do you have an opportunity to influence. What are the things that require shared decisions? Right? So there's some things that I can just act on in my marriage, and my wife is like, fine, good job, well done. And there's some things that require shared decisions. If I make a decision to fire the landscaper, for example, and hire a new one, as long as there isn't a major budget change and the quality gets better, it's all good. But I'm trying to think, if I make a decision to buy or rent a summer home for our kids to come visit us at, let's say it's in Iceland, and I don't consult with her, I might have some problems. I may be in Iceland on my own, permanently, right? There's some decisions that require both people because there's too much context for one person to make the decision. And also, There's some default rules, like when we disagree, what is going to happen? If we disagree, are we going to kick ass and take names, or are we going to go to our corners, chill out, reset, and come back to this when we're feeling more rational, for example? In addition to having decision-making clarity, we created structured check-ins, because caring communication is the basis of all safety and trust, right? Structured check-ins are a form of caring communication. Caring communication isn't just, oh, I care so much about you. Caring communication is, by the way, I fired the landscaper and hired another one. You probably didn't notice a difference. I didn't think he was doing that great. He kept cutting the plant, the plants that you were planting. I couldn't stand it anymore. Or they sprayed the perennials with Roundup and the perennials were dying. I want to make sure you're okay with that. Just FYI, that's what happened. Or it might be, hey, you know what? We've been working so hard, and my mom was in the hospital and my aunt died and I was traveling, and I feel like I haven't had a chance just to cuddle with you, much less anything else, if you know what I mean. Weekly partnership meetings might be about logistics, they might be about emotions, or they might be, we have a vision that we were going to keep this house for a certain amount of time and then sell it, but I'm feeling like I really like it. Maybe we should hang out here for a while. Let's adjust the vision, right? It could be a long-term thing. And those meetings need to be regular. Right? There need to be regular logistical check-ins, regular financial check-ins, regular emotional check-ins. Hey, I see that you're tired and I'm worried about you. Regular. The third thing is that there need to be agreed upon priorities, all right? The priorities always, if you haven't made them, these are the priorities that every family and business needs. Number one, charge your own battery. Get enough sleep, eat right, exercise, talk to other people, have a sense of spiritual connection, right? Primary. If you don't charge your battery, you cannot show up other places. Yes, you may need to cut corners. And when you cut corners, make sure you schedule time to recharge. If you're not getting enough sleep for a couple of weeks, you need to make sure you take a day or 2 or 3 to catch up on sleep, for example. All right. Number one, recharge your battery. Number two, make sure your partner's charging their battery. All right. Take care of myself first, focus on my partnership second. All right. After the partnership, number 3, how's our family? And then number 4, how's work? Brad and Gwen kept putting work first. And so their batteries weren't charged. Brad, in particular, made some really bad decisions. But let's be honest, Gwen made some bad decisions that contributed to Brad's bad decision. And the children were suffering as a result. I've been married a couple of times. And I walked into the first marriage kind of aware that it maybe wasn't going to work out so well. But what I told myself is, we love each other so much. And, we'll figure this out. If we love each other and we talk about what's going on, we'll figure it out. It'll be okay. But because we didn't have governance, we didn't have clarity, we didn't have a shared vision, we didn't really build each other up, the marriage failed. And there was more to it than that, right? I just don't want to go off topic here. I don't want to be talking about my marriage all day, but we didn't have structure or governance. We didn't have regular communication. And so things broke down. I want to be really clear. It isn't just communication, it's a structure for communication. It almost sounds like checkbox marriage. And it kind of is, right? We need to make sure that all the areas of our life have light in them, that we're looking at them and airing them out and allowing light in them. We need to make sure that we're looking at them together on a regular basis. There's little or no room for ambiguity between one another, or even within ourselves. Sometimes we allow there to be internal ambiguity. Do you know what I'm talking about? How many times have you said, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I want that. Particularly if it's something like, wow, I've always wanted to play an instrument, but I don't know if I really want to make time for it because it's horrible to take all that time. I have so many other things I'm doing. And underneath that is an expectation that if I play an instrument, I better be good. I better be able to play on stage with Sting or whoever. Or I've never been really successful at it before, so why would I be successful now? There's like all these old feelings and beliefs underneath it that can get in the way. That's like internal ambiguity. Instead of looking at that, I just say, oh, it takes a lot of time. But underneath a lot of time is all the excuses. That's personal, internal ambiguity. That's what I'm talking about. And we all do that. So don't tell me, Rich, that's just you, because I know it's you too. We want to eliminate ambiguity. We want to eliminate repeated conflict in an area. All right, so there can be disagreement about something, but once it's resolved, something new should come out of it, and that disagreement should not come up again. If you're having the same disagreements again and again, then it's because you're not actually resolving the disagreement. And that leads to emotional exhaustion, right? Remember, I told you, rule number one is we charge our own battery. We charge it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, in every way. Having a governance or a relationship procedures manual creates clarity before conflict. It allows agreements to be in place before we get overly emotional. It allows us to take direction rather than balk on decision. And without governance, without procedures manual, by the way, it doesn't mean that you lack love. Let's go back to business. A lot of you are entrepreneurs also. If you have a company with employees and you're not giving them a procedures manual and they're just doing things willy-nilly, and you're upset that you have inconsistent quality at work, right? People are doing things different ways. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Customers are happy, customers are unhappy because you don't have a procedures manual. You're not all doing it the same way. Well, governance or a procedures manual in your relationship is the same thing. This is how we do things. Without that, though, it doesn't mean you don't love each other. Just like it doesn't mean the employees don't care. Sometimes they don't care. But if you haven't given them a procedures manual, you don't really know, do you? Yeah, if you have a procedures manual in your relationship and you're not following it, either the procedures don't work or one or both of you doesn't care, by the way, and that's a deeper problem. And we've helped a lot of people with that. Brad and Gwen, we helped them design the governance or procedures manual. They got clear on domains of ownership, where they were both experts, where they could make decisions on their own. In their business, they work together, remember, in their business and at home, parenting, logistics, finances, social planning. They were really clear who had what. There was no more constant overlap, but more important, there were no more drop balls. They knew who was supposed to empty the dishwasher, when. There was less friction. They had weekly communication at work and at home, separate, about logistics, emotional check-ins, forward planning, money. They had rules, guidelines, procedures for making decisions. For example, if a decision is going to impact us both long-term, we decide together, like let's say renting a house in Iceland. I haven't done that, by the way. It's a funny idea when you think about it, right? Could be great. Could be great. Iceland's kind of cool, by the way, but it means a lot of time somewhere else. If it's under X dollars or within your domain, you decide, right? There's a certain amount of authority we give each other to make decisions. And also we want to have conflict containment. There's a limit to how much conflict a relationship can bear, and we want to contain it. Contain it doesn't mean stuff it and wait for it to explode. It means we want to make sure there's a limit to how high the conflict is, how intense it is, and we want to make sure that we have a space, a container for resolving it. Hard topics go into a meeting, not random moments. Go back to episode 24. This preserves relationship space. So just to sum it up, love can create connection. And we want to take that love and we want to manifest it as governance, as procedures, as division of roles and responsibilities. We want clarity to replace tension. We want structure to support connection, not tear it down. And then the relationship can actually grow in that space. So governance is not control. It's love, care in a structural form. And once couples begin building governance, a new question emerges. Are we running our family like a family? Or are we running it like the government? Or like our business, if you have a business together? And that is what we're going to talk about in the next episode. The family charter versus the business mission. And if you don't have a business together, it might be your family charter versus your mission at your business. You may have separate missions that you're adhering to in two different businesses because you're working in different places. And you may not have a family charter, and that might be part of the challenge, all right? Family charter is really important. Heads up, we're working on a family charter here. We're rewriting our family charter, really, is what's going on. We've helped families to have charters, and we're rewriting our family charter now, because what we found out was once the kids grew up, things changed. the charter need to adapt. Hey, if you are struggling with this stuff, with containment, if you're having trouble separating the need for structure from the fear that your relationship has lost its luster, I want you to feel free to reach out to me. Go to richinrelationship.com, go to our free community, The Bridge, and you can schedule a free call with me. And the purpose of that call is to help you figure out your next steps, whatever they may be. For some people, the next steps is they need a therapist. For some people, the next steps is they need to find a new career. Whatever your next step is, we're going to help you find it. So go to richinrelationship.com, join The Bridge, and grab that free call now. There's also a ton of awesome resources in there that will help you in your relationship. In the meantime, have an amazing day and a fantastic tomorrow, and thank you for listening.